Hello, everybody, and welcome to Aurorum Regicide, Session 1. I'm excited to finally get the entire cast together to do the opening of this campaign. A couple of things I want to go over before we actually jump into starting the campaign. But first, hi guys, how y'all doing?
Good. How are you doing, Mr. First Stream of the day?
No, actually, of the week. I've been on vacation. I got back from Maine last night, and I just turned on my computer right before we set up for this. So I'm just like, just
You got to remember how technology works.
Yeah,
Your old feeble brain
yeah.
can't remember all the steps.
Something like
I
that.
say, but you reminded me how to do everything today in Roll20, so I should be talking.
Ouch. All right, so I suppose that one of the things I want to go over really quickly is as a reminder, the Twitch interactions, so that's the spending of the daddies, is disabled for the first 2 sessions. Last session didn't count. That was just an intro, whatever, da-da-da. The first 2 sessions, all that stuff is disabled, so you cannot give them any luck dice. You cannot hit them with any curses. There's no triumphs, and there's no trump cards. Not for this section or next session. All that stuff becomes enabled for session 3. That's where I allow people to kind of like really start messing with it. I think Rena said that she's busy that week, so she kind of is going to duck out so she doesn't have to deal with all of your horrible stuff that you're going to do to them. So.
What?
But all right, cool. So I'm excited to jump into this and to have the campaign open. Before we do so, anybody have any questions or that? Actually, you know what, Messy? Just because you're fiddling with your dice color and I want to make sure they actually work, and I see that you chose dark gray, I don't know if that'll work. Why don't you?
Yeah, happy to like show up.
Roll me an intelligence check because I feel like you're just gonna fail.
You'd think that, but haha.
Florida man. Oh, he actually rolled really well. And it's green screen very, very, very well. You can barely see it on the overlay.
It's
So
like
Yeah, really barely see it.
Okay, hold up. I forgot what color the overlay was. Wait, I
What,
can make it
what color is your
transparent?
brand, man?
Wait, I
Pick
can make it
brand.
transparent? Hold on. What does a transparent dice look like? I want to know.
That's probably not a good thing.
Oh,
Man, I
man.
can't see anything. It's just black.
Oh, that's
Oh,
funny.
no.
Yep, it's just a black die.
Okay. Last try. How's that? Just a standard white die. Does that
It's
show up?
also
That's good?
no. You need something that has some bright color to it.
Yeah, bright color.
Oh, a bright color.
Yeah. Isn't
Go with
your
your
brand
bright
color
blue.
like? Aren't you
Bright
like
blue.
hot
Blue,
pink?
bright blue, bright blue.
That
Boom.
works! Yay! Yay!
I'm ready now.
All those checks. Oh man.
All right, he got a first successful dex save. So when I fight him, now he'll not dex save and he'll take full force damage.
I'm perfectly fine with that. All right. So now that we finally got Messy learning how he can correctly select his the color for his dice, let's jump into the game. So obviously last week we had everybody's pre-recorded session zeros, how we kind of got to know the characters and so on. All the characters had their own reasons for beginning their adventure, separating from the groups or wherever they were beforehand. But we never said like where they were going or how much time had passed after that session had taken place before the opening of this one. So specifically for Rena, for your character, the session for you picks up after you had left the camp where you were at beforehand, a camp that was actually known by the name of Adlama. That camp where you had done the work, where you had there was mining, there was the smelting of the metals, there was the forging of weapons, repairing of old weapons, etc., etc. It technically exists on what is currently the over the border of Peredhel into the lands of Tiziandale. But, you know, it's kind of questionable because they're probably going to take those lands in a minute anyways. Adlama, the time that had passed from when you had breached, when you had gotten away from there till now, is about a year's time. Now, that's not because a year, it took you that long to travel from A to B. It's actually only so many miles between Adlama and our opening town of Addersfield. It's actually just because you had spent so much time roaming the countryside, getting familiar with where it was that you had come to find to be your home. Now, granted, you grew up in a nearby town by the name of Talion. Now, Talion happens to be very close to Adlama, but you tried to avoid it for your own reasons. You tried not to go back to your hometown for your own reasons, and it stuck to the hills and whatnot since then. What you end up finding is as you come to Addersfield, this about year's time later on, probably stopping in for supplies and the like, is you find yourself into a small town. The town, like most towns on the outskirts, has farmland around it, a couple of farms, collecting crops and the little houses here and there, and they would be bringing their grain into the center of town where they would be able to trade their goods for whatever the people in town are offering. There's a few travelers that would come through. For the most part, it's a relatively sleepy town, sleepy in the sense that there's not a lot of action that comes here. As you come into the town yourself, you haven't come in, earlier today, and made your way about collecting the various supplies that you needed to, maybe a few more arrows for your bow, and a new whetstone for your blades and whatnot. You would have found out a little bit of interesting information would have been happening. That there's actually going to be a visit coming by in the near future. There's actually going to be a visiting noble person that is coming by. This person happens to be the commander. Commander is a title in Peredhel that refers to the person that takes control of the military, all the armed forces, usually the city guard and the like, in the capital city, in the region around it that they control. So the commander of one of the cities nearby is actually going to be coming to this town in the near future. They're kind of just checking on the border defenses because this town is right near the border of where Dale happens to be. This is the commander of a city by the name of Zatishk. My apologies. So that's where your character is. Where would you see yourself kind of spending a little bit of time, Rena? Would you find yourself maybe at a tavern, grabbing a drink? Looking to find an inn to spend the nights? How would you see yourself passing time?
Probably be hanging out at the bar, Definitely a tavern.
Sure, absolutely. Grabbing a drink, and the road is long and weary. That brings us to your character, Tyler. You find yourself similarly making your own reasons, making your way to Addersfield. Now, I actually need you to do me a little favor, sir. You're welcome to roll either a history or a survival check, whichever one's better for you.
I think it's survival. Let's do this. Whee!
Wait, 0? That's your better stat?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Funny. So, with your survival check, one of the things that you notice as you had traveled to Addersfield is that the name it's not nameless just for namesake. It actually is, and you notice this as you're approaching. The area around this town actually does have a significant number of literal adders that live here. If you're not familiar, adders are poisonous snakes that are, I want to say, about 2.5 feet long, 2 feet long, somewhere in that range. It's not like crazy long. They're typically known to be in, I believe, like the Egypt and real life, around like Egypt and all around like the Mesopotamian, the kind of like region. Anyways, adders are very, very poisonous snakes. In this world, they happen to be surrounding all around this town area in a fairly dense population, to the point where you imagine a lot of people kind of walk around with if they're going just for walks, if there's like, two forked sticks to try to like get them out of the way in case they happen to come across them or piss one of them off or whatever it is. That, of course, doesn't matter to you. As you're traveling to Addersfield, you see the snakes, and it's almost like this area feels comfortable to you. You actually enjoy being here. It feels a bit like home. Even the ground itself, while being technically plains, is a little bit drier, a little bit more arid. You know what I mean? While there is greenery that does grow here, as I had stated beforehand, there are farms. It is not extremely plush and the like. So you're making your way into Addersfield. And similarly, you're coming here, popping by for supplies and the like, but not just for supplies. You've been on the road for a few years since you had completed your last task, if I remember correctly.
Yes. My last task.
You've honed your blade and sharpened your fangs, and you know your purpose. But most importantly, you've perfected your magics. Perfected them so much that when you're walking into the town, people that have never seen a creature like you beforehand, they have no reaction. Because what do they see, Tyler?
They see a normal standard Perrin. I even just posted in chat because I'm so well versed at disguising myself that I'm able to become what it is that is most commonly seen.
And this is a magic, right? Not a makeup.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
He's not dabbing foundation onto his scales.
Just making sure. It's
Yeah.
not like a cosplay. It's like
No.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
No.
And just
So Ophio says, essentially become a young adult Perrin
Is he
of
still,
similar size and stature. He's still around 5'11", 6 foot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you're not familiar with what Perrin are, because it's your first time catching one of the Aurorum streams, Perrin are this world's half-elves, so what you typically see as a half-elf in any other campaign. Elves don't exist as far as anybody knows in this world in all the sessions that we've done in the other campaign, and up until Tyler's backstory. This is the first time we've ever come across any elves that have existed. But they're not from this world. They're from another world.
Yeah, they're lopers.
They're referred to as lopers, as interlopers, or people that have come in as a almost like refugees from another world. Tyler's character seemingly has a bone to pick with them, or a fang. Either way, so Perrin look in their youth, in their childhood, like they're from babies and through their youth, they look almost identical to humans. As a matter of fact, a lot of humans can't see the difference between a human and a Perrin. They can't tell when they're young. As they get older, they start to get more of those elven-like features. So as they become middle-aged, old age, so on, their faces become a bit thinner, their cheekbones rise up higher, their ears elongate, and so on. So they start to look a bit more alien, if you will, from a typical human. But they never get like the extreme differences that a typical elf would have compared to a human. They just become more obvious. Mind you, when I say middle-aged, a Perrin becomes middle-aged like in their 60s. It's not like it's, I'm 30-something, I'm middle-aged. By the way, 30-something is not middle-aged. It's clearly late 40s or somewhere like 15 years from me.
All right, okay, Daelric.
Also on the way in, obviously it would have been one of those things where obviously he felt comfortable and there's adders around. So, quick question: did he come across any particular adders there, Scott?
I mean, I would say, yeah, they definitely came across adders. Maybe even spent an extra moment once you realize kind of like the area and realize this is a comfortable home for these are my brethren. You probably could even go out of your way and find them just as a step in.
He probably would have just come across them and put word out that he was here. In order, as he has the ability to speak with snakes and become friends with them. So he would address them and told them to keep a scent out, keep a lookout to let him know if anything suspicious came by, particularly a mushroom man or a hobgoblin or a loper.
Okay. Animal friendship, in case you're not familiar, it more or less, if the creature is dumb, so less than 4 intelligence, which is a snake definitely is, the creature, it convinces the creature that you mean it no harm. They want to, they're effectively charmed by you. They want to kind of aid you in any way that they can, but it doesn't necessarily give you the ability to directly speak to them necessarily. However, if you with a good animal handling check, you can convince them to aid you in certain ways.
So it's kind of like just.
So do I need to roll animal handling?
Yeah, but you have advantage on animal handling with snakes. What were you saying, Bessie?
I was just. Is it like body language then? It's like just not a threatening pose or whatever, and they're like, oh, okay, he's one of us, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Except done magically. You know what I mean? It's just innate magics for him.
Gotcha.
Okay, so same thing. You just kind of like tell the snakes more or less, warn me of dangers, and they of course do. So either way, your character, who now looks like a Perrin, though of course still sounds like he normally does, because illusions are only for the eyes, at least this illusion, he comes wandering into the town himself. But like I said beforehand, he's not here by chance. He's here to resupply and whatnot, but he's here with a purpose. He's been following a trail for an extended period of time. He has an idea. The idea being that the first loper that he came across, and thus far the only loper he's come across, has was a sign that the lopers themselves are in fact trying to infiltrate the Peredhel government, that they're trying to take over. And so he's been trying to push this narrative forward in his mind and investigate further and further to see whether or not it's the case. Thus far, he's come to dead end. nothing has proven positive. But this trail that he's along, because he's not someone that's willing to just give up so easily, this trail that he's on, he's almost positive this time is correct. And he has followed rumor from a few towns over from here, far to the south of here, I should say, that the commander of Zatishk is in fact a loper as well. The reasons for it being, the tactics that they're using and integration of magics in there, but that stuff doesn't really matter. What he knows is he needs to get here first. He needs to make sure that he lies low and that he finds a way to approach. Confirm that it's the target. Collateral damage is not a concern, but it's better to know than to expose yourself to a non-enemy, a non-threat. So Tyler, when you come walking into the town, knowing what it is that you need to do, where is it that you go? How is it that you look to spend your time immediately?
Ophios would actually walk around the grounds, seeing the layout of where the commander would eventually make entrance, where he would potentially stay, trying to find as much knowledge of the layout as possible before getting knowledge of the people, which he would do so in an inn, kind of hiding in a dark, secluded corner, so that if it got to the point where his disguise started wearing off, he could easily take a moment and put his disguise back on with disguise self. Gotcha.
And so this isn't necessarily finding yourself into a building. It's more or less kind of maneuvering around town. My apologies.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, just kind of making your way around town. You know what? Your character is a traveler, and so people aren't necessarily going to pay them too much mind more than just like looking at the fact that they happen to be a traveler. But because you're trying to be indiscriminate to some degree, why don't you roll me a deception check? Just trying to seem like you're not here for any particular reason. That was a sexy roll. It was a good roll. So you're easily just kind of like out of sight, out of mind. People are really paying you no mind as you're making your way about, getting familiar with the layout of the land, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where your character is. Well, your character happens to notice, and Rena, of course, you hear it passing by because the tavern's not very loud. It's you and two others that are in there. Both of them are locals that are drinking and had been for a few hours. They're a little tipsy, but enjoying their time. Is it a Zima? Sorry, that's an old reference. A smeared off ice.
Yeah. Yes, it is. I'm like the weirdest person ever because I actually like them.
Did you get iced? Oh, I was gonna say,
No, I iced myself. Did I just go and like? This is my last one. I don't want to waste it.
You enjoy your smeared off ice. So I say with no tone of nothing. So moving on. Mm-hmm. So you happen to hear travel by the tavern as you're sitting inside of it, and of course you see Tyler. It's literally pulling in. It catches your interest at first because you think maybe this is them. Maybe it's from Zatishk. As a matter of fact, do me a favor, Tyler. Roll me a history check.
Oh, darn it. Now you see, Messy, why it's better.
With your 12, actually, that's good enough that you would be able to see that the that the caravan coming in is in fact the caravan of Zatishk. However, you're able to identify well enough that it's actually a merchant caravan, and it doesn't seem like there's enough guard by any stretch of the imagination that this would be where a commander is. As a matter of fact, there's one guard walking alongside of the caravan. The caravan does pull past the tavern. You watch it for a little while, kind of like, pegging it in your mind, maybe even follow it for a couple of minutes. But you don't really see any reason that you don't think that this is where the commander would be coming in. Would you continue to follow it, Tyler, or would you leave it be?
There'd be some interest with regard to what it would be carrying that he might have interest in, but he may approach just to talk to somebody who's a part of it if anybody hops off or anything in a time, but he wouldn't follow it to wherever it was going. He would kind of watch it and then keep as what he was doing. So unless there was somebody to talk to, he wouldn't.
Absolutely. There's actually the caravan guard themselves. You're welcome to walk up and speak to that gentleman.
Yes.
Sure. So you walk up to the guy.
This guy's crazy.
Excuse me, sirs.
Wait, with that voice, there's a bit of a start.
I have a question immediately. Does this not cover up his forked tongue? Does it not, he has to speak with a forked tongue still?
Oh, it covers up his forked tongue. If he goes, bleh, you see like a normal tongue. However, it's an illusion. It's not real.
So he still speaks as if he's a snake.
Yep. As a matter of fact, if you touch his nose, you go boop. You realize it's not a nose; it's slits in a scale. Like, oh, why does your nose feel scaly? Because it's an illusion.
So physical contact would break it, and then.
But the good news is for him, the illusion is very simple. It's only for the shoulders to the top of the head.
That's true. Yeah.
It has nothing to do with like he can, actually like, oh, these are my real abs. Yeah. So.
Touch my body. Girl, look at this body. Look at this body. I snake out.
Oh, Jesus. So, God, that's.
Excuse me, sir.
It's literally the first song on my wife's workout soundtrack. So I hear that song too
Snake
often.
Out? Yeah, it's a great one.
And my daughter's heard it before, so my daughter literally sings, "Look at his body." And I'm like, oh, God.
Oh, no.
So you just sing that right now. It's just like, trigger. So anyways, moving on. You go walking up to the guy and you say, "Excuse me, sir." And he like literally a bit of a jump because you come off sounding a bit freakish to him. Then he turns over and he sees who it is that's looking at him. It looks like it's just a perfectly normal gentleman. And so he turns and he's like, "Yeah. How can I help you, sir?"
What is this caravan taking? What does it carry?
Are you here trading in the town, or are you just passing through?
I'm here to restock, and I'm curious as to what items that might be of interest to me on there.
He starts nodding, like an understanding of why it is that you're interested. After he gets like your kind of gets your idea, he's like, "Oh, okay. Listen, I'm just the guard to the caravan. I don't really know all the inventory. I do know they have a lot of different stuff from a bunch of merchants down in Zatishk. They're not stopping in this town. They're just kind of like passing through. Where I think we're spending the night, and then we're heading out in the morning. If you speak after we get settled up to the merchant, I'm sure he'll be more than happy to help you out."
Thank you very much.
Yeah. No, hey, where are you from?
From north.
He just kind of nods and just, "I like your accent," and then he walks off, kind of like. So, anyways, you guys go continue traveling that way, and you kind of leave the caravan alone from there. My apologies, Tyler.
Yeah.
Okay.
He made a mental note in his head, but I'll explain that later.
Sure, no problem. All right. Messy.
Hello.
For you, it's been about 2.5 weeks.
That's a long time.
I just told her a year and him like 2.5 years.
Yeah, but I'm a noble. 2 weeks is a long time.
So for you, it's been 2.5 weeks. And,
Such a prissy.
And as the caravan finally comes to a stop, you spend an extra moment in like the last wagon of the caravan. Sorry, my apologies. Yeah, the last wagon of the caravan, and then you hop off of it yourself. Of course, when you come off, you see that the caravan guard, he's speaking to the merchant for a couple of moments, and then he comes making his way over to you, and he's like, "Oh, I have to say, Yondis, that last one, it was impressive. The way you just hunted down them, oh man, it was good. I told you I'd make a man out of you."
What can I say, man? You really taught me my way around a knife.
Oh, well, listen, like I said, you keep it. You keep that knife. Hey, listen, and he claps you hard on the shoulder. He's like, "Obviously, we got to go get ourselves rooms set up in the inn. He's already said he's going to make sure you get the nicest room." He rolled his eyes and everything. It was hilarious. After we get ourselves situated, what do you say we meet down by the tavern and I'll get you a drink, a man's drink.
Are you sure? I could easily pay my own way. It's not a big deal.
Well, if you're offering to pay the night, I'll take you up on that offer.
Oh, of course.
And he laughs and walks off. And so as he goes off, the rest of the people that are on the wagon, they're kind of like hopping off. They're finally into a town. It's been several days since they were in a town again. They're all kind of feeling like, So more or less everybody just kind of hops off and they go off to take care of the various activities that they need to. One of them has to go up and speak to the local stable master, make sure the horses are going to be taken care of. Another one has to go and set up the stuff at the inn. The merchant himself, he needs to go and speak to the local merchants to make sure that he can get the right spot to sell some goods before you guys guys go on because maybe he can barter with them and get some of their goods to travel on and blah, 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 right? But most importantly, realistically, only 2 people stay behind to start inventorying the wagons. You know that because you've been here in and out of towns a bunch of times beforehand. And you know this is your opportunity. And so, of course, not one to let an opportunity pass, you seize it.
Of course.
Making your way back over to that last wagon. Where was it that you said? Was it underneath or was it in the wagon?
In, probably.
In the wagon?
Yeah, somewhere.
So you go climbing into the place. You describe.
Yeah. So I'll approach the wagon and I'll pull back the flaps and I'll look around inside and it seems like just a wagon full of stuff, right? Take the knife out of my pocket, just like expose a metal beam and just like ting ting ting. Come on, guys, let's go.
There's no movement at first, and then like a little bit later, you see a little bit of shuffling, and a bit of stuff lifts up, and that's when you see the little boy's head, and he pokes his head up. He's like, "Are we there?
Come on, you got him. Come on, let's go.
Come on."
Hey, wait. Can you grab that whiskey right there? Just bring that with you.
He reaches down. He points at the wrong bottle.
No, yeah, the other one.
The right bottle.
That one, yes.
Grabs
what
it.
A great kid.
And hands it to you as he gets out. As he hops out, he helps his sister down, and he helps out the other guy that was with them. Sorry, the other dude that was with them too.
And I'll just sit on the side and just take a swig and let them get out of the cart themselves.
They hop out, and you kind of like see them look both ways, and they look back at you and like, "Thank you." No.
Well, wait. Empty your pockets.
Okay. And so the guy does empty out his pockets. He has like 3 silver on him.
Okay, you can keep that. I'm just making sure you didn't take anything.
No.
In's that way. Bar's that way. And just stay away from the guy with the sword, right? Sure?
All 3 of them nod. The guy's just like, "No, really, thank you. I get. We should probably go. Thank you."
Get out, please.
And the three of them go running away from the wagon, looking, make sure that the inventories don't notice them, and they go running out so that they don't get seen. Kind of like running off into behind a couple of buildings. It's a small enough
town. Do they need to roll a stealth check, Daelric? Do you need to? Sorry, go ahead. Wasn't funny.
Would you like to roll a stealth check for them?
I mean, no, I'm not assisting.
And they go running off into the to the side, and so you know that, well. Still haven't spilled any blood. That's a problem for a different day.
Yeah, this knife's clean.
And so, where do you head to next, Messi?
I'm gonna take my fine whiskey and whatever of my stuff that I can carry, and I'm gonna bring it to my little inn.
Sure.
Go to my room.
You go walking into the inn. You go walking into the room, and as you go walking in, you hear that the person that's supposed to be taking care of the setting up the rooms and whatnot, he's having a conversation with the innkeeper. So as you come walking in, he looks over and he's like, "Oh, Yondis, over here, sir."
Sure. What's going
on? He's your room's the one with the key, with the lock. I mean, and he hands you the key.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, did you hear?
So what? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you know that the commander was coming?
The commander's here?
No. From Zatishk, Commander Vaktal. He's coming.
I don't know much about this man. Tell me. Come sit here. Have a sip. I'll hand him my whiskey.
I'll just be back in. Is it noble? And he comes over and sits down with you. You hand him the whiskey. He's like, glug, 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 glug.
Hey, that's a sip. That's a sip. Sipping. Careful.
Took 4 glugs.
I'll take it back and I'll be like, appreciate this.
It's like, what?
So tell me, come on, this commander, what's so special?
Commander Vaktal of Zatishk?
Yes.
He's coming through the area. It's we're kind of like near the border. Addersfield is near the border to Taziendale. So apparently he's going to be coming through and searching to make sure that the appropriate routes are being taken by the local guard, and to make sure that there are no building armies. The land was recently liberated from the Taziendale regime. So of course we need to send people to make sure that they're not trying to take it back and recapture the people here.
That's not going to interfere with these merchants' lives, is it? Business here is
No. We're going to Talion next, and from there we're going to Curse Vault, which is in Taziandale, but that's we fly a merchant's flag. They need our goods more than they can choose to argue. So
very good. Thanks for the chat.
Yeah, no problems. I heard a rumor that this is where you were getting off. I heard you were getting off at a border town. I wasn't sure if it was here or Talion, but both of these are border towns.
I'd rather not say. It's a little personal to me. I apologize.
Oh, my apologies. Are we good, my lord?
Yes, of course, yeah. I'm just a little tired, and I don't really feel like talking about that part of, the trip.
Oh, please. I don't mean to press.
Right.
He points at the bottle and gives you like a questioning look.
How much is left?
You probably only drank like maybe a third, and that was because you just smuggled people and hoped that you didn't get killed by the caravan guard. So you were a little liberal at first.
Just gonna side-eye him and put the cork in it.
Oh, you just got stingy.
I'm gonna retire.
He gives you a firm nod, and then goes back to speaking to the innkeeper and giving him coin and whatnot. You can of course go up to your room and spend the night. Rena, from where you are inside your tavern, again, you had heard conversation going on, so on and so forth about this. You're welcome to stay there for a bit longer. I'm actually going to go back to Tyler for a second. Were you looking to spend the night and wait things out? Were you looking to try to procure more information from the people actually inside the town? What was your plan here?
For me, for Ophius?
Yes. He's the one that's actually on the hunt.
I mean, after it started getting dark, and if he's already seen the layout and where he expects things to happen, he would make his way to an end to listen in on conversations in a dark corner, trying to keep to himself and pay attention to things. He would also go over to see where the merchant's cart was left, considering the possibility of wanting to try and swipe something or anything that he could see over there of interest before making his way to an end.
Understand. By my apologies, you mean tavern, like for alcohol, or in for like sleepy sleep?
Tavern for
Perfect.
alcohol.
Perfect.
Where people would talk.
Sure.
Loose lips. Alcohol leads to loose lips. He's well versed in that.
So you swing by the caravan first, and over by the caravan, you will see that there are people that are procuring. They had procured a bunch of stuff along their travels, as well as all the stuff that they had purchased and traveled up with from Zatishk itself. So there's a bunch of different options that are there. But kind of like perusing through the things that you find, you have a nice blade, you have good armor, you have a fine shield, you have everything that you need on you. There's nothing here that really jumps out at you. Aside from, of course, if you can afford it, they do have a couple of potions. Potions that in dire situations might be able to assist you.
That would interest him. He has a vice for the liquids of sorts. Mm-hmm. I mean, he is a snake after all. He's used to seeing his other friendlies vial up their venom and procure them into more toxic poisons and things like that from within his cave. So he would eye them. Is there somebody watching the potions or anything else?
Yeah, I mean, so the people, because the actual caravan merchant, he had already made a deal like recently, because like I said, you were kind of going around for a little bit. He went and made a deal quickly with the merchants. They set up a little spot for him to be able to bring over his best wares to try to sell them. So they're literally actively transporting them from A to B, and just kind of like seeing the stuff go by, or even inquiring yourself. You would see like a small little crate that had a couple of potions inside of it, go by. You're an adventurer. You're pretty keen on what a healing potion looks like.
All right, so they would be carrying it right at this time.
Yep.
So they're just moving it to the location. So he would kind of follow and figure out where it was, and then I guess I might have to roll a stealth check because he's just kind of trying to stay hidden and make it look like he's not paying attention to that and just kind of looking around.
Is the plan here to swipe these potions without having to spend coin?
Yep.
Okay. Now that we know.
I have my plans. I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
So you are So as you're making your way over, you're actually, my apologies, chat, just to answer the question, people are asking whether if your character might be a pureblood or an abomination. Actually, neither. While they happen to be named something slightly different in this world, called Slacona, he's what you would call a Malison, if you wanted to Google UONT Malison to see what a picture would look like. But they're called Malison. That's the mostly human, from his version, from like the shoulders down, mostly human, and from the shoulders up, it's snake. Just to paint a picture for everybody that didn't see the original. But moving on, my apologies. So you're making your way along, and once again trying to look discreet. Why don't you roll me a deception check again? Because you're just an interested person, not somebody that's scoping the place.
Yeah. Darn it.
However, eventually the one of the people who's kind of transporting things looks up at you and goes, "Hey, what you need, friend?" There's definitely a tone to it.
Like friend? Or like friend?
Just purely interested in seeing what you have available. He was surprised, so he tried to disguise his voice at the beginning there, and it ended up falling into his normal accent.
Mm-hmm. So
it's gonna be so hard for you. I feel bad.
He goes, "We have all sorts of stuff for sale. However, not yet. We'll see you tomorrow."
He'll nod and kind of half walk away and look over his shoulder to see if the guy left.
I mean, yeah, but there's others there because they're still transporting stuff. They're not just like leaving their stuff open. Like, come on, friends, come and steal. Because they actually come from a city, so they're accustomed to like pickpockets and whatnot, even if this is a small town. So they have their practices.
Then he'll just keep going then.
Okay.
Cut his losses.
Yep.
Cut his losses. He got made pretty much. He lost his advantage of appearing uninterested and just near the area.
Mm-hmm. So you make your way to the tavern to listen in on conversations and like.
Yep, he'll go in the darkest, most secluded corner after grabbing a drink and sit there. He probably wouldn't even get a beverage that's necessarily alcoholic, or maybe he would, but he would just kind of he wouldn't really drink it.
Rena, what's weird is that you hear a strange accent and voice off of somebody coming in and ordering a non-alcoholic beverage.
Yes. Please give me your best smooth fakes ales.
One Shirley Temple.
One sweet succulence waters.
Now you have to say it with your voice. You have to say Shirley Temple.
Yes,
it's hard.
Give me the Shirley's temples.
And so, anyways, so comes in, orders that. Now there's you and 4 others in the tavern, plus one other who happens to find themselves off into very inconspicuously the darkest corner all by themselves, watching everybody else. But that's not important. What ends up happening is you actually have Tyler. Well, Rena, I'm gonna have you roll perception in a second. Tyler, what ends up happening is while you're sitting inside the tavern, relaxing, about an hour passes. So Rena's been there for drinking for hours. Messy's lazy, so he went to bed. What eventually happens is a snake comes up to you. Mm-hmm. You notice it because like while you're while you're sitting there enjoying your drink, you kind of feel something crawl up your leg a little bit, like, and you look down and you see that there's a snake kind of like up and like brushing on like the bottom of your leg, like right inside your pant leg. And so of course you reach down and you let the thing climb up onto you. And you can see that on the snake itself, there happens to be like a small little bit of paper that's like tied off onto the snake as a thing to come up to you. Mm-hmm. So taking the snake up, you pull out the piece of paper and it says to you in the notice, it says to you, midnight outside the town.
And I expect that's written in Draconic. Mm-hmm. Okay.
It is.
Okay. So he will acknowledge and keep his eye on the clock and basically take that same parchment and write on the other side, agreed, and he would tie it back to the snake.
Just put the snake back down, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Time would pass. This place isn't going to close. Like, oh, we close at 10. Sorry, you guys, get out. No, if you're buying, they're staying open. So you would stay until about midnight comes by. You check, the moon's high. You make your way out and would head out to that direction. When you get out there, Tyler, eventually you come out to, they didn't tell you a specific location. They just said head out. However, you're familiar with where it is that your kind of people meet and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And eventually, what would happen is you would hear. My apologies. Taking a step back, Rena, I never had you roll a perception check.
Just to check everything out, or is that what I'm rolling for?
For when he interacted with the snake.
Oh, got it. Okay. Oh, I don't think I clicked. Did I click it? No, that wasn't me.
You hit perception. You got to click on the word perception. Yeah.
There it is. Oh,
that's a beautiful roll.
That is.
Not necessarily for Ophios because he doesn't want people to know, but
while you're sitting there enjoying your drink, of course, there's this totally inconspicuous person that chose to come in and order a non-alcoholic beverage and sit by themselves in a dark corner and watch everybody else. So, of course, you keep a side eye on that person, like, okay, well, my axe is right here in case I need to use it on that fucking weirdo. But but you notice that completely inconspicuous person then reaches down and a snake comes up with them, and you're like, all right, maybe he likes snakes. There's adders in this area, I guess. And takes a note out from the snake and starts reading it. Very peculiar. Eventually writes something and slips it back into the snake, and the snake, slithers off again. Do you react to this at all, or do you kind of keep it to yourself?
I honestly would probably just keep it to myself and just kind of be like...
And make like a mental note.
And be like, all right, messenger snakes, that's a thing. And then I'd probably just I'd just see it all go down and be like, okay.
Like courier pigeons.
Different folks, that don't concern me.
And so, obviously, eventually, Rena, your character would have to, go to bed or whatever. But going back to you, Tyler, you know where it is that your people would usually meet. You know the kind of bluff or whatever you would look for. You look for an area that makes sense to you.
Yes, and Ophios would find a place to that he would find safe and have like a snake pit or something to store his stuff in. And actually, he would, in order to make sure people didn't follow him, he would find a secluded place and go ahead and change to appear like a snake.
Okay, cool. I was going to say what you happen to notice approach you is going to be a larger snake is going to make their way over. But you happen to be a snake as well. So when they come over, well, it happens to be a convening of two medium-sized snakes, But you get medium-sized is like a boa constrictor. Like it's not a small snake by any stretch of the imagination. It's like, oh, I ate a sheep,
Yeah.
So you, the two of you guys go up to each other. And of course you can continue speaking Draconic while in snake form, but only Draconic while in snake form. Kind of like Nagini. And it's, I saw that you had come into the area.
Yes, of course. I have purpose here.
What is this purpose? Because these are my grounds.
As the commanders may be of the ones we hunt.
Yes, well, listen, Messy, that is funny because you're literally picking up blackness.
Yeah.
Like a cat. Oh, it's funny. Oh, Jesus. All right, continue on. Yes, these are the same rumors I've heard, as a matter of fact. More than rumors. His forward scouts have already come through the area.
So, what plans do you have arranged already?
Well, I was watching the scouts in an attempt to make sure that I do not get seen as they come through. Why is it that you have interest in this commander?
Is there anything particular? I'm trying to think of anything, Scott, as to why I would have more interest in this commander.
Remember, you think that they're a loper.
Right, but I also don't want to reveal that to this snake. Even though I know they are of my kind, it's still one of those things where I don't know this one.
Yep, that's true.
At least I can't tell at the current moment.
Make something up, man.
Then that's you on your toes. Or
Yeah.
Whatever.
So I just wanted to make sure there wasn't that was something that yeah. And I said, could be related to the takeouts of our training pits.
Really? The training pits?
Yes, from where I am from.
I did not want to get seen by Commander, but I also would not mind seeing the humans and these creatures fight each other more. If there is more war in the area, then perhaps it will shake a few more things from the trees, if you know what I mean.
Yes, my plan is a part of making that happen.
Well, my plan, since you are now on my lands, was to attack this commander and his men, to upset the balance, perhaps cause them to wage more war over on the human side. I've already caused some mischief over there to make sure that there is a bit more guard on their side of the border.
Yes, may I be in on this plans?
Perhaps, but it will not work with just us. We need pawns.
I understand.
Find some that are willing to fight. Some that are willing to take out a little bit of vengeance against some of these scouts. Let's see.
Ophios just yells, "Anybody interested in killing that dude?" Just kidding. Yes, of course. And as I do so, he would start changing back into his. He would look around and start changing back into his normal form, and thus being able to use his prestidigitation to show his faction.
Oh, to kind of like show the sigil.
Just to identify himself as a will of good faith, because that in his society he anticipates if he shows it, there will be returned as to being able to identify the other.
Absolutely. And so, once you return to your normal form and, you have, it's funny because when you transform into a snake, you leave behind your stuff. It doesn't, come with you. But the one thing that doesn't fall off of you because of the way the rope is designed is your little pendant that you wear that has that crystal attached to it. That does not fall off of your snake form as your, actual snake and slithering away. Just your other stuff stays behind. So when you transform back and you're a buck-naked dude, with a snake head, and you go like this, and you see there's a little
and
for appears there.
For viewers' sight, he's naked, but he's kneeled down. It's not like he got into full stature. He stayed low, trying to stay hidden, not to hide his junk or anything, because he doesn't give a crap.
Is Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator's movie?
Yeah,
lots of buns, no junk. That move.
And he uses his prestidigitation to show the symbol, but in a way that would be more discreet. He kind of scorches it into the earth.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So he sees the faction and nods acknowledgement, understanding that which group it is that you work for, and says, "Find some that are willing to fight, even if they don't know that that's what they're getting themselves into. Finds them."
He doesn't return the favor, identifying himself.
Does not.
Well, this will be fun.
Fight him.
No.
Charm him.
He's gonna go ahead and start casting. And he's gonna cast Hex on the snake.
Sure. When you cast Hex on the snake, which is very quick, it's very he actually stops, comes snake still, and watches for you for a couple of moments. You can see the entire tone of the snake has changed. It's clearly become alert and agitated.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a pause, he says, What is this? Why are you putting magics on me?
He's gonna actually make him have disadvantage with regard to wisdom.
Sure.
And he's going to go ahead and use intimidation to he's going to address him and go, yes, I showed you in good faiths. You identifies yourselves now or suffers the consequences.
I travel in snake form. Therefore I have no stuff. And not all of us were born with gifts of magics from the other world.
Is that him literally saying he can't transform?
Not transform, that he can't show you a sigil.
Oh. Thence at least tells me whose you ares.
He at this point in time, as to not be like, because you are trying to intimidate him and everything, as to not seem too cow-tailed, he'll kind of like, stretch out his elongated like snake-like form and transform slowly back into, gets the arms out and everything. This one actually happens to be a different type of Malison. Malison, sorry, that's me being dumb. This happens to be a different type of Slacona from you. Mm-hmm. When he transforms back, he has a human head, human shoulders, and all that stuff, but he has like a snake-like from the waist down, a snake body. Mm-hmm. And so when he looks at you, transformed back into his mostly human-looking form, he's actually able to speak normally. And he says, yep. And he says, my name is Svekin.
Should I roll an intelligence check to see if I recognize
like somebody come up to you and say,
okay.
Hi, I'm Bob.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
That's what I was curious about. All right. At that he would respond, and although you can't identify your factions, from which do you resides?
Wait, what?
Like where are you from?
He said, I've already told you, these are my lands.
It meant not just the location, but the faction itself.
Mm-hmm. Does it matter what faction I'm from? These are my lands. You are on my lands.
He will accept that and acknowledge it and start transforming back into a snake, but he is visibly annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And thus is paranoid.
Mm-hmm.
Ophios trusts no one,
mm-hmm.
even his own kind. He doesn't trust until it is earned. It's just how he is, and so he's at the same time. The reason he's transforming into a snake is right now in human form he has his magics, but he's already hexed him, so he doesn't have anything else he'd really want to do. Becoming a snake again allows him to have better abilities to attack since he doesn't have his gear.
Mm-hmm.
If it comes to that.
Yep. So you transform back into a snakey snake and you go slithering away.
Yep.
It's now late in the night, so I imagine the night has to pass. Next morning is going to come about. But overnight...
Just like watch that all go down, by the way.
No. That was out in the woods far
Oh,
off.
Yeah,
okay,
unless you had chosen to follow me after the perception thing, but...
No, I was just kind of keeping to myself.
Yeah.
Smart, because if you would have followed me, I would have probably found out and killed you.
Happens.
I don't know. I'd be curious to see how that plays out when there isn't somebody getting in the way. Messy. So, Rena, when you're in the bar, one other person does come in that seems to be of interest. You see a Perrin guard comes in. He's a older guy, not old by any stretch, but definitely about middle aged. He comes in. He's got a sword strapped to his side, definitely worn armor, worn boots, and smells of the long road, which is never too complimentary. And he comes in and he walks up to the bartender. He's like, I'll be taking 3 now. And when my friend joins, we'll be taking 3 more. Quick now. Quick. I'm thirsty. And so the bartender's like, well, if he's drink, and I'm going to supply him. I'm not going to, be all uppity about this shit. And so goes over and gets him, looking to make $1, and pours the guy 3 shots. He takes the first shot, throws it back like it's nothing. Takes the second shot, throws it back like it's nothing. Then as he picks up the third shot, he looks down at it, and, kind of like looks up again. This is when he tosses like a sideways glance over towards, your character, who happens to just be, sitting there and enjoying the drink. And he's like, oh, hello. And throws back the third shot. And puts that one down.
Here we go.
Smooth talker. He's a smooth talker.
Oh my gosh.
It was a last minute thought too. It wasn't like intentional. It was like, oh, I just had an idea. Nice.
So as he throws down the third shot, he taps on the bar, saying that now he's ready for a drink. He's not even communicating in a respectful way, and he turns his attention towards you right as we take a break. So why don't we take a quick little break, and we come back, we can see how much we can make Rena feel uncomfortable. No, I'm just kidding. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. All right, everybody? All right, bye.